Welcome back to another episode of A Book a Day podcast. And as you know, in the last few episodes, we were discussing the ancient Indian text called the Kamasutra. And I had narrated a couple of chapters from the text and discussed with you what the text is all about. And today we'll get into another interesting chapter which really talks about how the life of citizens should be, ideally, and assuming that they are going to enjoy the pleasures of life, which is essentially what the Kama Sutra text is all about. So, in this chapter, I'm going to narrate the text as it is in the book. At the same time, I will keep adding the context in which it is supposed to be understood, because it's important that we understand the context. When the text was written almost 1800 years ago, the society was different. The expectations from a citizen, how they were living a good life, that was different. And of course, we live in an entirely different society. Yet, some of the very basic principles, how are we supposed to enjoy the simple pleasures and joys of life, they pretty much remain the same. And I think it can add a lot of value to a pursuit of pleasure even in today's world. And one of the interesting things that I noticed here is, on one hand, this text is encouraging us to pursue the life of pleasures in a more meaningful and healthy way, of course. But at the same time, it is constantly reminding us of our responsibilities. It is keeping us grounded, giving us something to live for, and not really become purely a hedonist, but have that meaning, that grounding in our lives. And that I really found wonderful. So let me narrate this chapter, the important text from this chapter. And along with that, as I said, I will keep adding some of the explanations as well. So here we go. Having acquired learning, a man with the wealth that he may have gained by gift, conquest, purchase, deposit, or inheritance from his ancestors should become a householder and pass the life of a citizen. That's really what we identify as when we say somebody is getting settled in life. So they say that once you have the sources of income, once you have your wealth, then you should pursue this life of being a citizen. Further, it says he should take a house in a city or large village, or in the vicinity of good men, or in a place which is the resort of many persons. So idea here is that you're surrounded by people. You're not really living a life of hermit, but you have a kind of culture there. You have social gatherings. You have people around you. So that's the idea. This abode should be situated near some water and divided into different compartments for different purposes. Now it gets into really interesting details, provides you specific ways in which you can build your houses where it should be. And of course, all of that can totally depend on your taste. But I like this idea when there is a water body and it tells you about all the things that you can have around your house, how it will look beautiful, how different things will add different kind of value to your house. So it keeps adding those details. And it says it should be surrounded by a garden and also contain 2 rooms, an outer and an inner one. The inner room should be occupied by the females, while the other outer room, balmy with rich perfumes, should contain a bed, soft, agreeable to the sight, covered with a clean white cloth. Low in the middle part, having garlands and bunches of flowers upon it, and a canopy above it, and 2 pillows, one at the top, another at the bottom. there should be also a sort of couch besides, and at the head of this sort of a stool on which should be placed the fragrant ointments for the night, as well as flowers, pots containing collyrium and other fragrant substances, things used for perfuming the mouth, and the bark of the common citron tree. Near the couch on the ground, there should be a pot for spitting, a box containing ornaments, and also a lute hanging from a peg made of the tooth of an elephant, a board for drawing, a pot containing perfumes, some books, and some garlands of the yellow amaranth flowers. Not far from the couch and on the ground, there should be a round seat, a toy cart, and a board for playing with dice. Outside the outer room, there should be cages for birds and separate place for spinning, carving, and such like diversions. In the garden, there should be a whirling swing and a common swing, also a bower of creepers covered with flowers, in which a raised parterre should be made for sitting. So that's a lot of detail, and I'm sure it might not be helpful to a lot of you. But in case any of the purists that are out there who are just obsessed with history and how these houses used to be there in those times, they can think about these ideas. But I'm sure there will be very, very few among the listeners. So take your own risk and create this kind of house. But I think the idea is to decorate the house and keep it neat and clean and arrange in a particular manner, so that I'm sure can vary depending on your own tastes and where you live, depending on the atmosphere, depending on people's own choices. So that in general, I think, doesn't hold a lot of value, all these details. Now let's move forward. It talks about the kind of things they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to live their lives on a day-to-day basis. It says, now the householder, having got up in the morning and performed his necessary duties, should wash his teeth, apply a limited quantity of ointments and perfumes to his body, put some ornaments on his person and collyrium on his eyelids and below his eyes, color his lips, and look at himself in the glass. Having then eaten bitter leaves with other things that give fragrance to the mouth, he should perform his usual business. He should bathe daily, anoint his body with oil every other day, apply a lathering substance to his body every 3 days, get his head shaved every 4 days, and the other parts of his body every 5 or 10 days. All these things should be done without fail, and the sweat of the armpits should also be removed. Meals should be taken in the forenoon, in the afternoon, and again at night, according to Charayana. After breakfast, parrots and other birds should be taught to speak, and the fighting of cocks, quails, and rams should follow. A limited time should be devoted to diversions with the vitas, vidushkas. All these terms I will explain later. But then it says, then should be taken the midday sleep. After this, the householder, having put on his clothes and ornaments, should, during the afternoon, converse with his friends. In the evening, there should be singing, and after that, the householder, along with his friends, should await in his room, previously decorated and perfumed, the arrival of the woman that may be attached to him, or he may send a female messenger for her, or go for her himself. After her arrival at his house, he and his friend should welcome her and entertain her with a loving and agreeable conversation. Thus end the duties of the day. Now, that just means you are supposed to entertain yourself and live a fun-filled life, I should say, all day. You are not supposed to work when you are living the life of a householder. At least that is what the text is suggesting here, that you have your basic duties, you do certain kinds of works, but not really the profession or jobs that we have in today's world. It's more like, I think in today's world, it's more for people who really want a life of pleasures, people who would want to retire early. They have enough wealth, they can do that. And those are the people, I think they'll be really benefited from this kind of ideas. A lot of people might even find it hard to imagine to have this kind of life where you do nothing. Basically, you enjoy yourselves in the company of friends and lovers, and dress yourselves up, enjoy the day, sleep in the afternoon. It's a luxury that I'm sure a lot of people cannot afford. But if you really think about it, in the grand scheme of things, the kind of life we have, how short it is, I think more and more people should enjoy themselves. And that's the idea here, that we should enjoy ourselves while we are here. We don't need to work really that hard, because some of the pleasures that are there in this world, they don't need a lot of money. And that's what this text is aiming at. And we'll see what kind of amusements, what kind of interesting events this text is talking about. So first of all, it talks about festivals, then it talks about social gatherings, and it also talks about drinking parties and picnics, and also some other kinds of social diversions. So these 4 or 5 things the text mentions and also adds certain details to them. So let me narrate from it. It says about festivals: on some particular auspicious day, an assembly of citizens should be convened in the temple of Saraswati. There, the skill of singers and of others who may have come recently to the town should be tested, and on the following day, they should always be given some rewards. After that, they may either be retained or dismissed according as their performances are liked or not by the assembly. The members of the assembly should act in concert both in times of distress as well as in times of prosperity, and it is also the duty of these citizens to show hospitality to strangers who may have come to the assembly. What is said above should be understood to apply all the other festivals which may be held in honor of the different deities according to the present rules. So they are saying there should be festivals and you should enjoy and welcome people who have come from the outside and have different kinds of events organized there. Fair enough, that's sounds good. Then the next thing is social gatherings. Let's see how they imagine their gatherings. It says, when men of the same age, disposition, and talents, fond of the same diversions and with the same degree of education, sit together in company with public women, or in an assembly of citizens, or at the abode of one among themselves, and engage in agreeable discourse with each other, such is called a sitting in company or a social gathering. That's really a very interesting definition. That very strict protocols of a social gathering. The subjects of discourse are to be the completion of verses half composed by the others, and the testing of the knowledge of one another in the various arts. The women who may be the most beautiful, who may like the same things that the men like, and who may have power to attract the minds of others, are here done homage to. So, really interesting things happening, really intellectual discourses taking place. Then we also have drinking parties where it says men and women should drink in one another's houses, and here the men should cause the public women to drink and should then drink themselves liquors such as madhu, araya, sara, aswa, which are of bitter and sour taste, also drinks concocted from the barks of various trees, wild fruits and leaves. So basically, clearly it was a patriarchal society, so certain rules for men, for public women, and then women, and they were organizing drinking parties. Sounds fun. Then going to picnics or gardens. It says, in the forenoon, men having dressed themselves should go to the gardens on horseback. That'll be difficult to find in today's world. Horseback, accompanied by public women and followed by servants, and having done their all the duties of the day, and passed the time in various agreeable diversions such as fighting of quails, cocks, and rams, and other spectacles, they should return home in the afternoon in the same manner, bringing with them bunches of flowers. The same also applies to bathing in summer in water from which wicked or dangerous animals have previously been taken out, and which has been built in on all sides. So clearly, the idea is you go out with friends and spend time outdoors. The drinking activity was mostly encouraged indoors. This one, the picnic, you go out in the day, soak in the sunshine, and have a good time. That's really the idea. You entertain yourself and have just good time. Then there is the other social diversions. What do we have here? Let's find out. Spending nights playing with dice, okay? Going out on moonlight nights, keeping the festive day in honor of spring, plucking the sprouts and fruits of the mango trees, eating the fibers of lotuses, eating the tender ears of corn, picnicking in the forests when the trees get their new foliage, the sporting in the water, decorating each other with the flowers of same trees, pelting each other with the flowers of the kadamba tree, and many other sports which may either be known to the whole country or may be peculiar to particular parts of it. These and similar other amusements should always be carried on by citizens. The above amusements should be followed by a person who diverts himself alone in company with a courtesan, as well as by a courtesan who can do the same in company with her maidservants or with citizens. And as I said, there are specific rules because the social structure was such, and accordingly they give certain instructions to different groups. And finally, they conclude this section by saying, thus, a citizen living in his town or village, respected by all, should call on the persons of his own caste, interesting, caste, who may be worth knowing. He should converse in company and gratifying his friends by his society and obliging others by his assistance in various matters. He should cause them to assist one another in the same way. There are some verses on this subject as follows. It says, a citizen discoursing not entirely in the Sanskrit language nor wholly in the dialects of the country on various topics in society obtains great respect. The wise should not resort to a society disliked by the public, governed by no rules, and intent on destruction of others, but a learned man living in a society which acts according to the wishes of the people and which has pleasure for its only object is highly respected in this world. So that clearly summarizes how the text is supposed to be. It is supposed to be enjoyed by the citizens and for the sake of pleasures, but at the same time it doesn't want you to create disharmony, it doesn't want you to create any chaos, it just want you to enjoy your life and in the existing social order. And just telling you some of the fundamental ways in which you can have pleasures by seeking, by going out, by finding time for afternoon naps, by spending time with friends, by drinking and playing games, entertaining yourselves, just practicing simple arts, simple games. They are the real pleasures. And often we complicate our lives. We go so much into these activities that we forget that the basic idea is to enjoy ourselves with other people, and which is what we are trying to do here through this text. And we'll learn more about these kind of pleasures, and we'll get to the more erotic parts in the subsequent episodes. And I hope you'll keep listening to that and you'll stay patient. And because I'm sure the reward is going to be really exciting for you, because that's where towards the next few episodes we are going to get into the really exciting and exotic parts of the text. So keep listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you.